chug that orange juice. Hi, everybody. This is Tim Kaiver doing another LitRPG Guildmasters Live. Today we are celebrating me, so be sure to clear your schedules and follow along. We have Stephen Landry here today to interview me. It's going to be a short one because I am jumping in from my lunch break at work, but wanted to talk a little bit about my release today, Windwalker, Ciphercraft Book 2. And also got a giveaway going on at the author page and in our guild group. And I'll share a link to that in our comments. Essentially, I'm going to pick 2 winners at random, and you get to choose either an Audible gift code or a copy of one of the Guildmasters books. If we can get them to sign it, that's even better. A little bit of details on that if you live in the UK, but we do have some UK authors that we can get to send you a book, and I'll be paying for that. So without further ado, go ahead, Stephen. Interview me this time.
Yeah. As long as we don't have any technical difficulties.
That's all right. We're doing our best.
First, I want to take a real quick, just moment of silence. This week we had a LitRPG author, Paul Campbell Jr. He was a great member of the community, author of Peaks of Power, and all around really great guy. I want to take a quick moment of silence for him. Okay. We had.
Sorry, Stephen. I'm going to put a link to his book in the show notes so folks can find that. I didn't know him, but it sounds like he's had an impression that I appreciate in our community, and it's really sad that that's happened, and he's left a little girl behind. So we're sharing his book information to help support that family. Go ahead, buddy.
So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, at least those of us that are here in America, and that everybody's enjoying their leftovers today. I know I am. Mm-hmm. I've actually got a second Thanksgiving to go to after this. But let's get started. So today you released Windwalker, and that is book 2 of Cyphers Quest, correct?
Yeah, Ciphercraft is the name of the
Ciphercraft, yeah.
The second book. Mm-hmm.
I'm running on little sleep, so sorry about that.
You're all good.
And it is a fantasy sci-fi lit RPG mashup. Can you tell us about the mechanics?
Sure. So the first book is all about finding and unlocking the cipher for everyone. And so there's a small party who is given early access to that. And without spoiling anything beyond probably the obvious, book 2 has more game mechanics, more complications. Maybe that's not the most endearing word. It's crunchier. And so one of the things that inspired me to write LitRPG in the first place is Final Fantasy. And I think back to Final Fantasy 6 or 3 on the Super Nintendo, and how you have multiple party members who sometimes they're split apart. And so you have to mix and match different classes and skills and find a way to win, even if you have, maybe not your favorite character. All of a sudden, Locke is one of your main guys, and you're like, oh, I never used him because he's just a thief. So with Windwalker, it splits as the parties are split up through certain events early on, and they're both kind of racing to the end to reach Resurrection City, and the rune that whoever unlocks the rune gains certain benefits once the city has been established. So they don't want to discover the city but not get the rune, and everyone else knows that that's where they're going, and so they're trying to stop them. So I know your question was game mechanics, but along that avenue, you've got people that are trying to learn their skills while they're getting to that point. And one of the things that I did for this book was you get XP with practice as well as in battles. So and also with healing. So they're upgrading healing classes, upgrading their main class, and then many of them have a secondary class um, within Ciphercraft. And maybe I shouldn't have done this because it's become complicated. I allow each person to have 6 classes, and a few of them take full advantage of
So
that.
they're multi-class masters basically, or they're
Yeah.
trying to be. Yeah.
Mhm. So, and I'm keeping track of all of them. So you'll see. I tried to streamline it as much as possible, but when you're playing Final Fantasy, you want to know what all of your characters, where they're at as far as where their XP is to next level, um, and trying to utilize skills. I have different ranks. So the first rank, the E rank, is easier for the characters. They can apply XP to any class and any skill. Um, but once they get to rank D, around level 10, they have to only have used that class or skill to apply that XP to that. So it sort of gets incrementally more difficult for the characters as they're going through and journeying and leveling up. But those are some of the main things for the mechanics side.
So I noticed that in your books, your characters, there's a little bit of a family dynamic. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, um, without spoiling anything, right? Because maybe some folks haven't read Cyphers Quest. Um, there,
Which is 99 cents right now.
yeah. So yeah, Cyphers Quest is 99 cents today. Um, it's been on sale all week. Today's the last day for that. So Cullen, the main character, he is an exiled son of the Star General. So um, one of the dynamics that I took from that was he didn't really feel like his exile was fair, and his parents didn't really stop it. So for the last 10 years, he's been bounty hunting on the other side of space, and Cypher's Quest gives him an opportunity to come home. The goal of getting home, and if he were to meet his parents, for me, uh, Cullen represents what it's like to feel like, I don't know if this is an arrogant thing, but to feel like you're better than what you've accomplished, to maybe feel like you can accomplish more than what you've done in this life, and that
I think
desire
that's something that
to.
that a lot of us, especially as writers, feel a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Uh, that that feeling of wondering, like, if we could accomplish more, and we're not getting enough done, but also at the same time looking at everything you've done and feeling really, really excited about it.
Yeah, yeah, and that. So for me, today is an awesome day. I'm not going to let anything take away from the fact that, I mean, I've been working on this book, probably started like 2 years ago. So the fact that I've continued working to get to this point is awesome. Um, I hope that Cullen is an endearing character for our readers, to kind of just be put in the shoes of someone that thought they should have done better. I mean, he's the son of the Star General. Like what type of expectations did he put on himself growing up with that type of a father figure? And then all of a sudden he's exiled as a like 17 years old, and now he's running for his life on the other side of the galaxy. And then in Cypher's Quest, the Cypher picks him and says, "If you complete this quest, I'm going to give all of your people the power to turn the war in your favor. And can you get home? And then, if by chance that happens at the end of book one, and book two might be about what it would be like to see his parents. And then uh, also in book one, you've got Ellie and Emmett. Ellie is the mother of 12-year-old Emmett, who they've been in prison for the last 6 years and were captured by the big bad uh, in an explosion in their house that took the life of her husband and his father. And there's some family dynamics there that are explored um, in book one, and those continue to grow in book two. There's some mystery involved. Book one, Cyphers Quest, does have some mystery to it. So, like the first maybe quarter of the book, I'm setting up the world and the characters so that as the action really kicks off, it really is giving us incentive to see the mystery resolved through these characters' lives. And you'll see that Emmett and Ellie are huge characters throughout the whole series. Being telepaths, it's almost overpowered. I'm not sure what readers would think if it's overpowered or not. My goal is to try and keep them grounded and to find enemies that would challenge them. And so you'll have that in book
Speaking
two.
of enemies, you had a lot of really cool enemies in the first book, like the EMP tigers. How did you, if I don't know if it's a spoiler or anything, but how did you top that with the sequel?
So one of the things that I liked doing was if the cipher unlocks and they get to play with it more in book two, um, this isn't something that they've encountered before. And I have one penalty in the book. If you overspend your magic points, you can be scarred or physically damaged uh, with permanent damage, and then also it weakens your ability to gain your health and manage what I call spirit points, but it's essentially magic points. Getting those back, so they're learning their powers, and they're also encountering a world that is sort of blaming them for um, for what's happened. You would think, here we brought you this great, wonderful thing. You're welcome would be the response, but it's not. And so you've got essentially a whole world that is against a very small few, blaming them for one of the downsides of if the so prophecy says if the cipher is unlocked, the bad guys will find their planet. So a beacon will be shown out into the galaxy where the bad guys can now find them. Um, and some people aren't too happy about that. They sort of liked not being hunted down in their cozy little planet. So you've got threats within the world, and then you've got threats. Um, I don't know why I tend to have jungles in most of my books. Maybe it's Matthew Riley's book Temple. I don't know if you read that, but it's one of my favorite books early on in writing. So they're going through this jungle adventure again, and there's this race called the Skatas, which is essentially spirit beings that possess humans and other animals too, in order to gain their life. And so, what does a telepath do against this type of enemy? And then there's a few dragon battles, and there's a ghost train, another reference to Final Fantasy. So, yes, I'm always trying to keep myself entertained, and that does require more difficult bosses.
Very cool.
And so about Paul, so I put him in my book last night. So he's in my new book. Um, he's a character who's going to be who's left a note to help him and to help his daughter in case he doesn't make it. So I appreciate you mentioning that. I forgot, but yes, we're gonna That was Joshua Mason's idea that I read about him putting that out there to anybody who could put him in their book. So he's been
I
talking
think
about it.
we as a community we're always we're a very strong force to be reckoned with,
Mm-hmm.
and when one of our own passes, you're gonna see it, you're gonna know it, you're gonna feel it. I know I just wrote a reference to him in his books and a novel I'm working on last night, and then a lot of others have as well.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. I've got enough time for one more question, Stephen, if you've got one.
Let's see. See, I know you're very influenced by Stargate, Final Fantasy. What books have influenced your writing?
So Dune is a huge influence. I loved the idea of Paul Atreides going to a new planet, and then everything just goes to crap. And how does he survive? And how does he make friends? And then, oh, by the way, there's this huge epic scale war that he sort of knows about, but gets thrown into in the process. So when I wrote Ciphercraft, the goal was to have this kind of an epic space opera tale, but it's not focused on spaceships. So it's focused mostly on planets. And I feel like that was Dune as well. It was, yes, the navigators and those type of things were mentioned, but for the most part, it's, welcome to this planet. Here's what's going on. And so with that, also Dragonlance. Let's see. I was just listening to the audiobook this week. So here's my Dragonlance. Love this thing. I I love the party influence in Dragonlance. The idea of the characters you can root for fighting for good in a world full of bad guys. So you're going to have that. Lord of the Rings, similar impact on me. Um, the land was a huge thing for me discovering that. I love the excitement of gaining levels and getting items and progressing in your skills, and so I try and include that in my series to make it exciting.
How much crafting do you have in your in the second book?
So I guess can you use crafting if it's not technically an item? If not, then I would say there isn't crafting. There are I do mention the unique items that they gain, but there's no like taking pieces to make an item. Um, for me, Ciphercraft is like Warcraft. Like, how do they use the cipher to wage war? And so I hope that's not a disappointment to anybody expecting crafting. Um, it's
I
mostly,
wouldn't think so. Your book is huge and filled with exploration, adventure, items, lore. You actually have more lore than a lot of authors that I've read, and I think that's one of the things that really stands apart with your book.
yeah. Well, thank you. It helps that I've been writing it for about 8 or 9 years in this series. So um, yeah, the main crafting aspect is with skills and classes, and then book 3 is Resurrection City, and that's already written. I'm going to start just finalizing the stats now that book 2 is released. That crafts a city, so your main character becomes a governor in that, and so there's negotiations with other nations. Um, I don't know why I did this to myself, but I added XP for the city as well, and then I have like I don't know 8 different categories that so let's say they win a battle, you can put XP into the military or the defense categories, and then within each of those categories, you can gain um, kind of
So
like
perfect
skill
for
building.
anybody looking for some crunch.
Yeah, yeah. that influence was like Age of Empires and how, you build this so that you can build that and those type of things. But yeah, so other releases this week I wanted to mention, because it's not all about me, even though I joked about it. Let's see. Carl Stubblefield released Lair through Mountaindale Press. Demetrius, and I can't say his last name, but it's the Berserker is the book on that. It's got a
And
cute
it's
corgi
one
on
with the
there.
Berserker and the Corgi on the cover, and I've started reading that this week, and so far it's an amazing book.
Yeah, well, I mean, I I don't know if I told him specifically, but that's for me the best cover I've seen this year. I mean, like when the guy's flexing his arms and you can see the muscles. I mean,
Yeah.
phenomenal job on that, and I expect from what it sounds like, it sounds great, and Carl's book looks great too. It's like a superhero anti-hero book with Travis Baldree as the narrator, who's one of my favorites. So I'm expecting that to be awesome as well. Yep, I'm pretty sure those are the only 3 books that have released this week. So lots of
302 also just came out on audiobook.
okay,
Got to
yes,
give a shout out to Aaron for that. Congratulations.
yeah, good work, Aaron. I'm sure it's like 1,000 hours long, so that'll take up some time. Let's see, anything else?
And then Jonathan Brooks, he is a Dungeon Core author. He currently has a ton of titles for free for Black Friday.
Mm.
I will link those to the Facebook page here soon. And Shadow Alley Press also have a promotion going on for Black Friday.
Okay, and I think um, okay, Shadow Alley is different, and then Portal Book also has gamified on audio too. I noticed, which that looks awesome too, with
Yeah.
Brooke Epston. Okay, well, I better get back to work since they pay my bills. But thanks for taking time today, Stephen, to interview me, and thanks for everybody for watching. Hello, Angel and Carl and everybody else. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.